Hey, Nick. How's it going, Nick? Christina, how's it going with you? You guys with me? Can you hear me? But just lost Christina. There she is. She popped back in. Christina, are you a team lead? Tell me a little bit about your business. Nick, you able to hear me okay? We'll get started in just a minute, guys. What we're going to be talking about is, how to build a high-performing team and really kind of what that looks like and what kind of impact that may have on your business or your business model. A lot of us have gotten into real estate and have done, good things as independent practitioners, but, how do we duplicate that in terms of a team structure? How do we actually, build people who are going to duplicate our efforts and do great things like we're doing great things, right? So we're going to talk about that. We'll give people a few minutes. We've got multiple rooms going today, multiple training sessions. So we've got people everywhere, and I know there are folks who wanted to participate. So we want to make sure we're giving everybody the best opportunity. So it takes us just a minute. I hope everybody's been having a fantastic week so far. I know there's been lots of stuff going on. I know we've been seeing the marks. Tina, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. There we go. How are you?
Good.
Hey, good. Tell me a little bit about you. What market are you in? Where are you working?
I am in the Lodi, California, near Sacramento area.
Oh, gotcha. I'm in Tracy, so you're not too far from me.
Oh, yeah, I love Tracy.
Yeah. Who do you work for?
Allison James Estates and Homes.
Got it. Okay. All right. So are you on a team? Are you a team leader yourself? Are you running a team? What's your business look like?
Yeah, I was running a team. She recently got fired, so now I'm in the process of trying to get her back on board.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So she got fired by you, or she got fired by somebody else?
Company. Yeah, she had an issue with a check that she didn't pay out her share, and so I'm now trying to get her back on board with me. But yeah, looking to head that team again.
Got it. I got it. Okay. So tell me, kind of, as you look at your business and trying to run a team and stuff, what kind of ideas do you have for your team? Where are you trying to be from a business standpoint?
Basically, because for me, I do mainly listings and I like to focus on those because buyers have me all over the place. So I'm just trying to get it one person in charge of the buyers. And so we each have a role that way.
Perfect.
And we can also, I still show property. We each take turns. That way we don't get burned out in a certain area.
Yeah.
That's how I usually, with her and I was running it. But now I'm thinking, okay, I need to build a bigger team because her and I just got comfortable, doing it our way, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. I completely get it. I mean, you said words that make my heart smile, which is I want to focus on listings.
Yeah.
And, there's two reasons why I say that. One, which is, when you're a listing agent, primarily, you're an employer, right? Your job is done once you actually, not done completely, but, you've tackled a hard part.
Yes.
Once you actually get the house on the market for sale. And then everybody else is doing the driving, right? You just said, I'll take people around, but buyers have you everywhere, lots of windshield time.
Yes.
So to have a team structure like that is actually ideal. So a lot of folks, when they look at where they are in their business and where they're trying to be, so we start to have some success as individual practitioners. We start to do some things that make sense, and we're kind of going, man, I'm doing great things. It'd be great if I had somebody else to share the load. Sometimes
Yes.
we're sharing the load. Sharing the load just simply means sharing the income, right? It's still just enough work for us, but we don't want to work as hard, so we're willing to share the income. Sometimes we do it because we truly want to grow. So I wanted to talk a bit about that today. That's kind of going to be the focus of most of this conversation. So
Okay.
you've got an excellent mindset in terms of structure. Hey, Janelle, how are you? Um, you've got an excellent mindset in terms of what you want structure to look like, which is you've got, oh, I just realized my camera's not on. Meaning you want to have someone who is going to do another part of the business that's necessary, so that there's complete client fulfillment, right? So
Yes.
your partner, person that you're wanting to bring on, works with the buyers. When we look at our team structure, a lot of what we need most of the time as we build a team is we need admin. So I don't know if we're alike in this way. So I've been in the business. This is 28 years for me.
Okay.
When I look at the business, the things that I dislike about the business is all the admin stuff, all the paperwork, all that stuff. It's like, oh my God, it takes me away from all the stuff that I love, which is being client facing and doing all that. And there's excitement in going out and getting a listing that feels great, and all the good stuff that we can count as wins. When we get into the admin part of our business, that's what slows us down, right? It's like, oh my
Yes.
God, gotta get my files done, all this. So as we look at building our team and kind of what the stepping stones should look like, certainly a well-rounded team has a person who's their admin, who does all the busy work, the day-to-day. They field correspondence through emails or phone calls, things like that. That's that ubiquitous person. But as you're looking at building a high-performing team, let's talk about the concept of prospecting, or recruiting is a better term, right? A
Yes.
lot of when we're building a team, we're looking for people who are like-minded, who are like us, who have the ability or have some skills. But most team leaders, particularly newer team leaders, so earlier I did a session on the 5 levels of leadership. Most of us start off at a level 1, which means that we're a high performing person. We know how this business works. We've spent some time at it. We've had some success. Now we're ready to bring someone in, as you said, right? And
Yes.
you may be at either a level 2 or level 3. So a level 2 leader is someone who's what's called a contributing team member. So in other words, you figured out the secret sauce, and you think that you can share that secret sauce with someone else, and they're going to do some of the same things that you do, and hopefully you're going to make more money, right? That's
Yes.
the goal. A competent manager. And that competent manager is someone who has the ability to motivate, inspire others to where they're achieving specific objectives and outcomes. That's really kind of where most team leaders sit, in level 3. So as we talk about, as we build our team, why do people go after what's the reason why people spend time with inexperienced agents or want to hire inexperienced agents on their team?
Uh, maybe because they feel like they're not going to leave them once they grow,
Okay.
or they're going to
So
stuck in. Because like with my girl, she doesn't have the desire to try and go out and get listings. She's not at that level yet. So just giving her the buyers, she feels comfortable in that. And I feel
got it.
comfortable keeping her because I know she's not going to go anywhere.
Not going to go anywhere. So we're talking loyalty, right? So
Yeah.
right. So let me ask you this. So she's newer or maybe not as experienced as you. How much effort are you putting into making sure she's well trained?
And the funny thing is, she's actually been in the business longer than I.
Okay.
She's just like one that just does the basic training. So I'm spending the time with her trying to teach her get her more coaching on her, trying to make her grow. As far as
Gotcha.
I want her to be at the same level as me, because then we both can be getting listings, because that's the bread and butter right there is the listings.
Gotcha. Bread and butter is the listing. 100% on that. So I'm going to throw a wrinkle in your thinking.
Okay.
So we spend a lot of time with folks that are inexperienced or new, and she falls in the same bucket, right? You know,
Yes.
even though she's had a license for a long time, she's not even at your level, you know, and I don't mean that in a negative way, so don't take it as that.
No.
But we spend a lot of time training up someone who has either little to no experience because we're trying to inspire and motivate them. And what ends up happening for us is that it takes us away from selling opportunities, because that's time dedicated and resource dedicated to make sure that this person that we have on our team is going to eventually be like us. And, you know, there's something in real estate called the Pareto principle. Are you familiar with it? You've probably heard of it, just didn't hear of it at that thing.
Yeah.
So the Pareto principle, what it is you've heard the same adage. It used to be 20% of the agents do all of the work and 80%, you know, feed off the rest, right? Now that's really more like 7% of the agents do all of the work and 93% of the agents get what's left, right? And it's all about what's called inspiration and motivation. Many times we're able to inspire someone else to want to do better, right? Which is where we all sit. We spend lots of days, weeks, and months inspiring people, but motivating someone else is a virtually impossible task, because motivation is internal, right? Like she's been years in the business and hasn't been able to self-motivate. In other words, there's no goal that she set for herself to get to a particular point or place in her business or in her life. And that's not a bad thing, right? It could be she got her license for very different reasons than why you got your license, right? Most of us recognize we get into real estate because we have a control of time, and we certainly have a control of income. We know that real estate is limitless when it comes to income because it's based on our ability to perform, right?
Yes.
Some people see it very early on, the amount of difficulty. So I'll cut to the chase. Where I'm going with this is a lot of reasons why we hire inexperienced or no experienced people is because they don't challenge our value proposition, right? Yeah. We ourselves, you know, we've had some success. Sometimes we don't know how we got there. We just want it to continue, right? I hope I do this same thing next year. I hope I do the same thing next month, right? Our business plans are not always accurate, right? Or not well formed. So we kind of use what's called the hope method. I hope I get a deal this week. I hope I get a deal this month. And, you know, sometimes that carries us a long time, weeks, months, years in some cases. But as we get more defined and start to refine our business plan and our business model. So I'm one who said all the time, each and every year, at the start of each and every year, you should know how much money you're going to make on December 31, 2023, 2024, so on. That's how you actually create strategies of what you're going to do from a business perspective. So if you don't know how much money you're going to make every week, every month, every quarter, it's very difficult to create marketing strategies, to create prospecting strategies in order for you to achieve those certain milestones or goals each and every month. And the reason why we'll hire someone who's inexperienced is like you said, loyalty, because an inexperienced or newer person is looking for an anchor. They're looking to be just anywhere, someone who can show them the thing because they don't know, right?
Yes.
One of the best ways of you actually propelling your business to a new level is to actually look for people, and it takes a little bit more effort, but to look for people that are like you. Now, keep in mind, I'm in no way telling you not to hire someone who you have a significant relationship who's inexperienced, because it's more about balance. As you're looking to grow yourself, ask yourself, how often am I surrounding myself with people who are as good or better than me? right? I use this analogy. So I've played sports probably my entire life up to a point, right? And when I got too old and couldn't do the things I used to do, I picked up golf 20 years ago or so. And I was horrible at it when I started, mainly because I surrounded myself with people that were about at my same skill level. So I wasn't picking up any new habits, any more successful habits, because I was playing with folks that were near or at about my same skill level. But once you start to surround yourself with better people, you start to pick up new talents, new habits, right? So you're starting to realize some self-growth yourself, but now you can create an alignment with someone who actually wants to grow at the same level as you, who can provide you with a little bit more assistance and can help you train up some of the newer team. So it takes the load off. It allows you to kind of continue to do what you're an expert at right now, which is going after those dang listings, man. I love that.
Yeah.
And it's a natural organic growth when we're able to surround ourselves with better people. Like I said, it's a challenge because now you have to articulate to someone, hey, Christina, why would you want to join me? You're doing as well as I am. Well, D, these are the reasons why, and this is how this would work. If you're looking at actually growing a performing team, you can't have a lot of inexperienced folks on that team because it's just an anchor around your neck, and it's only you. You're the only one that's responsible for training those folks. Again, motivation is not something that happens from your side. They have to be self-driven, or they have to at least be motivated to want something else. And then they have to have the self-discipline to create the follow-through. So, that's the most simplistic way, or the easiest start to building a team, is recognize the personnel that you actually want on your team. Allison James is a flat fee service, right?
Yes. Well, yeah, everybody gets 100% and just that flat rate. Yes.
Yeah, and that flat rate. So as you look at Allison James, and there's a reason why you went to Allison James. Who were you with before?
I was with a small brokerage here in Lodi.
Okay.
Which is because when I first started, I was just assisting. I didn't plan on going out on my own, but I started flipping houses, and then that's what got me just to, step out and do real estate.
Right on.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's funny you say that, because the broker just recently told me that she's slowing me down because I'm spending too much time trying to get her up to speed
100%.
on where she needs to be.
And I just met you, and I'm telling you the same thing.
and that's where he was trying to talk me into, that's why I signed up for this, because he's like, you need to start looking for people that are at your level, or even could be above, but don't want to be out there on their own.
That's right.
But at least knows too how to get listings and how to, every day be prospecting for new leads.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. It literally is that thing to where, as you're looking at how your business works, if you're not honestly pursuing growth, you're not going anywhere. Sometimes what happens in our business, and I'm sure you've seen this already, is that we get really wrapped up in the transaction that we're in today, and which means that we're not actively out going after new business. And that's why I was saying, as you really look at your business model, if you really like this person, one way, even though you want her to do your buy-side transactions, one way of actually creating motivation or having her actually look at what she's doing is include all of the maybe the transactional side of the business in her coaching and training, to where each and every file that comes in, she's responsible for, to see where she actually sits. As you know, learning your file is probably one of the quickest ways to get trained up in this business, because you're looking at all the legalese, you're starting to understand oh, this means this. Oh, and I should be doing this because of this. Oh, I see how that works. You're starting to see how things couple with other things, right?
Yes.
And that's kind of a quick method of getting someone up to speed like you are, is having them go through that process, because it's a learning experience, right? It's one of those things that we quickly understand how, if we understand how the file works, it gives us a better hold on the transaction. And we know that all consumers look for is information, right? That's all they look for. We give them enough information for them to make an informed decision. That's all we ever do. We never buy a house or sell a house, right? In my entire 28 years, never sold a house, never helped someone buy a house, because it's a very personal experience. I give people advice and I give them information about why certain things should happen to get the best results. But like, as far as a buyer goes, there's no amount of words that you're ever going to tell a buyer to cause them to buy something they don't like, right? It's just not going to happen. Buying a house or the process of real estate outside of an investment strategy is a very personal experience. And it's something that we're going to have forever, or a very long time. Let's put it that way, for a very long time. As you're looking at really kind of developing your team, look at what is her value to you, and if her value is that she's going to pick up a buyer, why not get someone who can actually help you get multiples, not just the ones that come across your plate? Because remember earlier I mentioned, are we sharing money or is she bringing value? And right now you're sharing money so that you can focus on other things, but she's bringing you no real value other than just, you can do that as a referral agent, right? You could give it to anybody else in the office. Yeah, I got this person who's looking and I want 25% or 50% or whatever, because we can charge whatever. But you want someone who's going to bring value. And part of bringing value is she will have learned the ability to couple this buyer with, asking for another buyer, things like that. That's kind of how you want to start to think about it. How long have you been in the business?
Since 2005, but I started in lending. I went out on my own in 2017, but flipping houses. So I've been running a team for probably now this year, because I just wanted to be solo for so long. But like I said, it was easier giving the buyers to her, but still keeping them as my clients. So that way, I still market them. I still get the referrals from them.
Makes sense.
You go to sell, that first time home buyer becomes a seller later. So that's why I kept her around too, because she's allowed me to do that.
Okay. That's the value then. Okay. I get it. That's the value. So, to that end, you're able to keep control of the client. But is that, you're still go ahead.
Oh yeah, so it's still kind of slowing me down though.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You're exactly it. Yeah.
I've been watching my numbers and I'm like, okay, now being a part of a team, I made the same amount of money last year doing less and focusing less on her. So that's when I started to, like I said, when the broker and her got into it and they let her go, he's like, why would we bring her back? We feel you're better off without her.
Got it. I got to be honest. There's something significant about the fact of, if a broker was willing to turn her loose, for whatever reason, whether it was an error or actual, there's some significance in that. And, where I'm thinking about this is, you may like this person personally, right? So we talk a lot about emotional intelligence when we talk about team building, which is, am I making decisions with my head or my heart? Am I thinking about this from an emotional standpoint, or am I making a solid business decision? Is bringing her back the most effective use of how you're looking to build your team? You just kind of acknowledged, I haven't seen a spike in my income utilizing this person, right? Yeah. She's taking some work off your plate, so to speak, but not really, right? You've not seen a spike in income. And I would submit to you, you might be able to utilize her in some way, shape, or fashion, but not probably as your primary. I would look to, as I said, look at a true structure, which is usually when we get growth beyond what our time permits, we hire an admin first, which is what frees us up enormously. And it allows us, even though you may not want to do both sides of the street, it allows you to actually look at your income profile more effectively. And then as we start to grow beyond that capacity, is when we look to hire a buyer's agent with some skills and ability that are already inherent, because now they're going to up level your business, right? Again, like a franchise, they're that person who takes exactly what you do, they duplicate you. So now you've got two Christinas that are out there pounding the streets and doing this, and you each one have a role. But now that new person or that more experienced person can say, hey, listen, I was just working with this buyer and they turned me on to Joe Smith, who's getting ready to list his house. Here it is, go kill it, right? And you see where I mean? It starts to up level the things that you do organically.
Yes.
So, again, from an emotional standpoint, from an emotional intelligence standpoint, assess this person in their true light. They've been in business longer than you. They've not had the same level of success as you. They're not motivated to create additional opportunities for themselves, and you're extolling a lot of resource. There may be some other way you can utilize this person, but she might not be, or he might not be the best person as you're looking at your team dynamic.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yes. Yeah, definitely makes sense. And that's why now I've been like, okay, because I'm doing my broker's license at the end of the month. So
yay.
They're like, hey, you can open up an office from, of course, with Ellis and James and manage one. But I'm like, am I ready to manage, multiples?
Yeah. It takes a bit. I've run lots of large. I used to run Berkshire Hathaway. I run Better Homes and Gardens. I was KW for a decade. I've owned my own companies. It's a lot because, again, you're talking about, if you've ever had children, you know how it is with children. You spend an enormous amount of time, and still not always getting the results that you hoped for. So if you look at agents, both experienced and inexperienced, it's a group of children that are all working towards a common goal. Now, the children who have a little bit more experience and they've understood kind of the process, much easier to work with. They have fewer demands. They're a little bit less drain on the resources. It's the ones that need your time, and time is a valuable commodity, particularly in this business, right? It is one of those things that we're constantly trying to figure out, how do I make more of this thing, and there is no more of this thing to make. So it sounds like you really have a lot of really solid ideas and plans for this. It's just a matter of how you're wanting to execute on your personnel hire. I honestly would encourage you to look at an admin first if you can afford to do that. And then really be judicious as to how you're shopping for your buyer's agent, because I think, just based on what I'm hearing with you, I think that you can probably up level to a person to where you have to spend little to no resource on, that will still be loyal to you, because they'll recognize, hey, this is my client, but I'm giving you an opportunity to work this person. And then you're managing expectations by allowing them, if, based on you working with this person, if you're able to bring in another person, then your cut gets better. There's a little bit more opportunity for you on this side, right? You're able to balance it out to where everybody wins on that win-win dynamic. But right now it's literally all you, and there's really no extension other than an abbreviation of time. That's really kind of what it sounds like right now. And clearly defining your goals. I mean, a lot of it has to do with, so as you're creating your goals and your action plans, are those well defined? Are you doing unit analysis? Are you doing volume analysis?
I was, and then I got off it the last so many months.
Okay.
Maybe since this year.
Okay.
But yeah, now that, like I said, my plan is to get that team back up, I was like, I need to hone in on everything again, you know?
Yeah, your metrics are everything. You know, obviously when our market changes, you know, and that's what I was saying at the beginning of this call, we get into the hope method. I hope I do a deal this month. I hope I do a deal next month, right? And that's that wave that we go through, you know, that ebb and flow, that up and down. And you really want more of that consistent pattern to where even in a transitional market, and think about it like this. Statistically, we were only in a slightly down market for about 4 months, because if you look at what's trending now, interest rates have remained steady for the past 8 weeks. We've seen more and more buyers come into the market. We've seen a collapse of inventory. So we're creating some of the same dynamics that existed over the last 2.5 years, which is lots of frenzied buyer demand. I think I mentioned I live in Tracy. And theoretically, I don't practice anymore because I've run real estate companies for a long time. But I do practice. I keep my feet wet, so I do onesie twosies. I do a small business, 4 or 5 million a year. But what we've seen is lots and lots of multiple offer scenarios come back into play because inventory is low.
I'm in 3 of them right now.
You're in 3 of them. So that tells you a lot about what's going on right now. So you've got real opportunity as you're looking at growing your team to start reaching out to folks who kind of pulled off on the sidelines because they were a little scared, right? They were a little bit risk adverse and weren't sure how to prospect in a difficult market, or they have buyers that didn't want to get back into the multiple offer frenzy. So that's another way for you to grow. But you've got lots of real opportunity right now, but your metrics are everything. That's how we started this, is you've really got to keep track of what your unit volume is and what your dollar volume is. Because that's go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah,
no, go ahead.
I do know, like from today, I do know how much I will be making this year. Of course, successfully, got to get those closed. But I do have the numbers for that, but I'm still always trying to, get more.
Okay, so that's for you. You know how much you need to make, but that's where we're talking about from a team perspective.
Yes.
If you were to bring on a team member, how much more volume would need to happen in order for you to get paid for what your goal is and for them to get paid for what their goal is? That's how you want to think about each and every successive team member that joins you. This is my nut for the year. This is the volume that I need to make. If I bring you on as a team member, you need to make me X above the number that I can do myself, plus be able to support yourself. That's kind of how you look at it. So even if you're sharing deals, it still has to be consistent with, I'm still going to make my numbers. They're going to make their numbers plus what I require of them. Otherwise, what's their value? If they're not bringing more to your pocket, then you kind of got to weigh that out. Like, I'm reaching into my pocket to pay you because I like you. You're great, but you're not family. So, and I wouldn't even do it for family.
Yeah. And I kind of look at it like I have her set up to where I do run ads for buyers and I give those all to her, but those are kind of like my extra. I always just focus on the listings and I don't give her a cut on the listings. Those are
don't give her a cut on the
what
listings?
I get. No, those are mine.
Okay. Now, what's your average dollar volume? I'm sorry. What's your average price point is what I meant to say, not your dollar volume. Usually
the average is about 700,000.
Okay.
Is what I shoot for. I usually.
And your average commission is 2.25, 2.5?
Yeah, 2.5.
Okay, so if you're doing 2.5 on 700,000, and you do approximately how many units a year?
15 or more. Yeah. 15.
Okay, so you're doing.
I did 21.
Oh, stellar year. Okay, so you're doing 15 units, 700,000. Quick math, so that's the 11.5, somewhere in that range in terms of dollar, and then 11.5 at 2.5. So I mean, you're cruising just around probably 300K plus or minus. I'm just doing rough math. if you're cruising in that number range, because you're basing it on roughly $11 million in annual production, and you're bringing on a team member and you're still doing 1,100 in annual production, you kind of see where that number sits. So
Yes.
each and every team member should bring you a minimum of 15% above what you can do on your own, a minimum. And that's really baseline, a minimum of 15%. So if you were to increase that number, that's what, another $1.5 million in volume per team, and $1.5 million in volume works out to be, what is that? $1.5 million in volume. That's another $31,000, something like that. On top, so that's a minimum. If she's not contributing at least another 30,000 to your bottom line, then you got to really evaluate that, and that's a relatively low number.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you've got your plan. You're working your metrics. Do you have a pool of folks that you can actually recruit from besides this person?
I do. I do have a couple of them. They were just waiting for me to do my brokers, like I said, and then because I was, do I stay with Allison James, or do I go with the company that's going to be better for me to do that under?
Well, there's, a company like ours, and this is not to lure you away from Allison James at all, but, we stand up individuals. We're basically your COO on the back end. So we help you with conversations like we're having right now. But I will say, if you're planning on taking your broker's license at the end of May, all of the testing, so I teach real estate, all of the testing centers in the state of California are closed until the end of June. There's some kind of glitch in the computer systems in the DRE.
So they've been canceling mine out then. So they will
probably be sending you I would double check and see if your test date, because I teach, I do real estate crash courses every weekend.
Oh, okay.
So I was going to invite you, when you're ready to take your test, come to my crash course, and I'll get you all
crash courses.
Yeah, I have a very high pass rate. So, but yeah, you won't be doing. There won't be one. They're looking at hopefully first week in July to have the testing centers back up, but they're closed at this point in time.
Okay, so they must be canceling me out again, because I got canceled once before, which is gave me more study time.
Okay. Was that recently that you got canceled?
Yeah, January. The facility. So I got canceled out in January, which was like, okay, good, because I hadn't studied for a few months.
Yeah. No, they're doing a lot. They've had computer issues all year. I mean, they've had some glitches in their system, and I don't know what it's all about. I mean, they've been incredibly delayed with all of their processing of, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Oh,
so it will give you time to study, but I would check after this call, just to see if you can get rescheduled. Because if you're motivated to take it right now, I would take it right now, and I would have those people who are waiting for you to get your brokers not wait. I mean, there's a way for you to get on track right now, to where it's kind of your own thing. But you and I can talk about that and see what that looks like. I think you probably have my contact information as a result of you jumping into this. And if not, I'm happy to forward it to you. But yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I was like, okay, I got to get it together and figure this out, because, I do want to make more.
Exactly.
Or not even make more, but tie up less, free up more of my time where I'm not, going crazy at it anymore.
Yeah. And what do I want to say? An inexperienced or a lack of motivation agent won't get you there.
Yeah, and I thought that the other day, because I spend a lot of my days too trying to get her in the frame of mind, just to get the work done lately.
Yeah.
And I know she's going through some stuff, but still, I thought that same thing. My broker told me that same thing. You can't spend my time fixing her or motivating her.
No, can't do it. And we all try. We all want it. We all try. We've all been there. It's like, oh, man, I've worked with you for 2 years. Still nothing. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a great way to start with her, if you're absolutely sold on her, is to reach back and kind of get an understanding of her. And, kind of have a heart to heart and say, hey, look, you're my first choice, my ride or die. We've been together for a while, but I have some serious questions I want to ask you. Where do you want to be? And if you didn't have me, how would you make your money this year? Which is a solid question, right? How would you make your money this year? I would drive Uber, or I would go back to doing what I was doing, or, whatever it is, whatever the case is it's literally you kind of going, I'm being a business owner. I'm interviewing you. Why would I hire you? What is it that you're bringing to my table that would afford you the opportunity to work with me, right? Is it just because I'm going to train you or give you these deals? Because think about when leads dry up for you, now what, right? Yeah. If business dries up for you, and it happens sometimes, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now what? Now you've got her not being able to do anything, asking you, hey, when are the leads coming? Now the loyalty gets tested because the next person who may have a lead or two is looking much more attractive than you are right now. Yeah. So think about it in that way too.
Okay.
All right. Let me go over a couple more points. I know we've kind of talked a lot about this one, but I think it's important. So one thing I wanted to talk about is, how do you develop value as you're looking at being that solid team leader? What's necessary to create value as you're building your team? So as you're looking at building your team, what is it that you bring to the table that would entice me as a practitioner?
For me, I feel like it's more of the not guiding as far as I do set up a plan. I know what I'm doing every day. Everything's written out. It's structured.
Okay, so you're structured for you, but how does that translate to me as your teammate?
Training,
or as somebody who works for you?
Yeah, and that's where I'm trying to shy away from, because training, like you said, that's taking me more time. I'm trying to train them to get them up to my speed, which is slowing me down.
Yes.
Because I'm spending a lot of time, I call it babysitting, where I am spending a lot of time babysitting, which is frustrating, but they know that I do have the skills to prospect, things like that. So trying to train them that same concept and to follow my system, how I do it and what I do,
Got it.
has been challenging. So
you remember earlier I mentioned those 5 levels of leadership,
yes.
And that was created by a guy named Jim Collins. He wrote a book, Good to Great. Those 5 levels of leadership. So what you are, literally, as I'm hearing you talk right now, is you're more of what's called a highly capable individual. You know how to do the business yourself, right? You absolutely know how to do the business yourself. You've got a high quality of work. People recognize, oh my God, this person knows what they're doing. And that is attractive. People want to come to you because they're like, hey, I'm trying to do that thing. How do you do that thing? The minute that someone approaches you, you already know that's time lost, that's expense, right? Because it's time lost that you can't get back. You're going to sit that person down or schedule that person to do a series of things with you so that they can see how you do it. Now that's time and effort lost and potential client lost, which translates to revenue. Yeah. So as you start to articulate your value, you have to define expectations that are necessary to run your team. So as we talk structure, and we talk simple structure, which is an admin first, always an admin. When we get busier than what our capacity is, always an admin. And now we start to add fundamental players to the team. folks that actually can drive revenue. The first thing you said, which was system. So yes, system is a structural thing. It's not necessarily a value prop, so to speak, but it is a structural thing that's necessary, because, if we have a group of folks and there's no structure, we're all just kind of bumbling around with hopes of kind of getting somewhere, right? So, part of that structure is daily accountability, defining expectation for that revenue side of your team, which is, these are the things I need for you to do today. I need you to get X amount of appointments, or whatever it is, right? I focus, when we talk about numbers based on activity, I tend to have people focus more on the amount of appointments versus the number of calls. When you focus on number of calls or door knocks or whatever method you're using to prospect, all you're really doing is training them to participate in a particular behavior, and they focus on that behavior. So I did what you said. I made 50 calls today and nothing. And that's only because that's all you trained them to focus on, was the behavior and not the outcome for the activity. So look at it this way. Each and every day that you're not in front of someone, you're unemployed. So every day that you don't have an appointment, you're unemployed. Yeah. How many unemployment days can you afford in any given cycle, whether that's a week, a month, a quarter, a half a year, or a year? How many unemployment days have you built into your business model that are sustainable for you to hit the income objective that you're trying to get to? And so as you're building your team and they've got enough skill in order for you to exercise the tasks that you need them to perform, you have to assess their amount of unemployment days. So, Christina, today I want you to get 2 appointments, 1 listing for me and 1 buyer for yourself, right? They can be your prospector in some respects, or follow up on your calls, right? So you can utilize an agent to do some of your administrative tasks as part of their training, right? I want you to follow up with Mr. Jones. I'm scheduled for a listing appointment with him. Give him a pre-checklist of things that I'll need to have happen when I get there, right? Now that gives you a bit more credibility. So they have a task. They need to get a listing appointment for you, and they need to get a buyer's appointment for them, because they're assisting you in driving revenue. They're not just someone who's hitting on your coattails going, "Hey, Christina, where are the leads this month? I got to put a kid through school. I need some money. Where are the leads?" Right? They're contributing now. And that actually elevates you as a type of a team lead. You're now going from a capable person to a either contributing or a competent manager, as you're talking about leadership levels. And so really looking at kind of that, and that's where that draws me back to the emotional intelligence, which is recognizing solid business decisions versus that emotional component that we all go through. Systems are everything. Having solid systems, having your team members understand the metrics of what those systems look like and the outcomes of those behaviors. That's how we actually grow. We have to measure the numbers, because this is a business. Let's take it off the street and say, what if this wasn't real estate? What if this was a bakery and you made the best damn cupcake that anyone's ever had? And, you're not doing a lot of marketing, right? It's kind of word of mouth. People, starting to figure out that you make a good cupcake, but you're trying to maintain expenses. So, today you had 40 people at your door. So then you're kind of doing some rough math and you're saying, all right, I had 40 people at my door want my cupcakes. Tomorrow I'll make 42 just in case there's a couple extra. Now you had, rather than 40, you had 200 people that showed up, but you only made 42 cupcakes, right? Now you don't have enough product to meet the demand. That's kind of, so that's bad planning, right? You're always wanting to have more than what the capacity would what the capacity would demand. So you made 40 today. You realized the concept was successful. Now you want to definitely make sure that you're tracking your numbers in a meaningful way so that you can meet the demand. And that's where hiring the right people come in, because they're the ones that are going to help you meet demand. If you think about it, as you're hiring, that's going to be consistent with what your marketing plan looks like as well. When we created that business plan, we have that marketing plan that has an associated budget with it. That's how people get to know us, right? We can throw up a website, but who cares? Who knew Christina was in business anyway? Yeah, you got a beautiful website, but I didn't know you were a realtor in order to go to your website. There was no trigger for me to kind of tap you on the shoulder and go, I saw your website and you're the person I want to use, right? And that's where your team can kind of be your evangelist as well. So each and every agent, not only are they growing your business, but you now have access to each and every one of their databases, right? Whether or not there's a share, there's an equitable share of revenue in that situation, there usually is, which is I'm going to help you to get those people online as well because it's my marketing efforts. So there's usually a share of rather than, let's say, if on the business you generate, you're paying out, I don't know, 70% of the dollar on their business that they brought to the table or the utilization of their database. Now you're paying out 80% of the database, right? Something like that. But all of these things are for you to create and maintain your supply. So metrics are everything that goes along with your system. So now that we're second month of Q2, really get your metrics tight because you're wanting to grow through the summer. You already said, the summer's going to be busy. You're in 2 multiple offer situations right now, or 3, right? Yes. So metrics are everything. And then utilizing what's called a whole brain approach. I know I'm jumping around a bit, and it's only because you and I have kind of been talking casually versus me doing more of a formal presentation.
Yeah.
But that whole brain approach is really kind of, goes back to the emotional intelligence, which is it's looking at your entire system from a 10,000 foot view versus a 500 foot view. When we're 500 feet, we're only seeing the immediate. We're seeing the right now, right? We're not projecting very much in the future. The whole brain approach is looking at the bigger picture. What's year 2, year 5, year 7 like? How is this person going to grow, build, develop? If my income projection is X for 2023, how much more will it be for 2024 if I tweak these levers, if I adjust my marketing to create X, things like that? Because that's how we build a solid business. And then your team starts to grow organically because now it's doing this thing. And you've got a line out the door of experienced players going, hey, you know what, Christina, I like what you do. This is what I bring to the table. This is my value data set. I'd like to merge it with yours, right? But it's all in a very clear and defined system.
Yes.
Okay. I know I jumped a lot and threw out a lot.
No, it makes a lot of sense. And that's where I keep telling myself, I love what I do. I'm good at what I do, but I don't like training.
I will tell you, I do this once a week, but definitely get on my calendar. Okay. I'm not sure if I can. Well, okay. So I'll just give you my email address. Drop me a line, and then you and I will get on calendar to just talk casually if you're cool with that.
Yeah.
It's de.wilmore@radiusagent.com.
Okay. Perfect.
Awesome. Well, we've come to the top of that hour. As always, guys, Christina especially, I really appreciate you taking some time out to spend with me today. Definitely don't hesitate to reach out to me. I do a leadership development class every Wednesday and a team development class every Wednesday at 1. So the team development at 1. So definitely come back. Look forward to seeing you guys again.
Okay. Thank you so much.
I look forward to talking to you soon. Okay. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.